Okay, we are back again with a successful run on our test board. So I have main circuit breaker. This is connected to my negative side of the battery. Negative here. And then this goes to the negative motor. This goes to battery positive, and then this is battery or motor positive. TPS throttle, which has been properly set up and calibrated in the software, since it's been a while since it's been set up and used. I didn't use this shunt here mainly because I didn't have a cable, long cable with a big fat nut or a big hole to go into it. So I just took it off. I don't need it. The shunt was just for checking amperage with my amp gauge. And contactor. So this is going to the positive and to the controller, and so I got my 12 volt here, ground, and then the blue here, or the red, is going to pin number 22, and I connect them on a bar here so I can disconnect them from the bar instead of directly hooking them to the harness. I connect the harness to this, and then I connect all my other stuff to my little board here. That way I can move things around. So contactor is on 22. Then I have constant 12 volt which goes to 14, which is this pin here, pin 14. And I also have my on-off switch from pin 14 to pin 21. So I put power to this, which puts power halfway through my on-off switch. My on-off switch I had to change because the switch that I was using had too high of a resistance, and it dropped from 12 volts down to 3 volts. So it would not allow the contactor to come on. So that was a fault. Even though it didn't say it was a fault, it was just not enough power to tell this to turn it on. And so that's something you have to watch out for. So you need to check your 12 volt coming from your DC converter. You need to make sure your DC converter is actually putting out 12 volts and you're getting 12 volts to pin 14. And then you also want to make sure that pin 21, that's where the second part of your on-off switch. So it's all stated right in here on the wiring. Everything in bold is the minimum that you need, and that's what I've done. At absolute bare minimum. And so my throttle is set up. Throttle, so this can be either a 2 or a 3. If it's a 2, you have to choose 2 wire configuration on the software. So right now everything's turned on. My battery pack, my 12 volt pack, and the motor. So I have my software set up. Oh yeah, one more thing before I move out of here. So this yellow wire, this single yellow, going to pin 16, is pack voltage positive. And I've got it going through a fuse over here in the back. It's a 1 amp fuse. Then it comes out and comes and connects to the contactor. This is so the controller can use this as a pre-charge, so it knows that's what it says. So on here it says battery pack voltage, sense, and pre-charge. Right up at the very top, very small lettering. So you can print it out and check it out. It's very, very simple. This is just your absolute basic setup. So you want to make sure that you have that set up as well. And I've just got a straight wire going to it because I'm not using a DC converter, so I'm running it just for my 12-volt battery. So we're going to set it up a little bit here. Hopefully this will stay put. So right now I've got 13 volts. Key on voltage is off. Accelerator voltage 0.05. All this stuff here. So when I turn my key voltage key on, so you didn't hear my contactor come on because I don't have my main power on. So if I turn my main power on, turn the power back off again. There goes my contact switch. So now, got 13.3 to 13.2 volts for key on, so I know my switch is really good. It was reading from 13 down to 3. I set up my accelerator input. I can actually run it right now. So motor current, motor voltage. It's only seeing 6 volts to the motor, but my controller voltage and battery voltage is 113 and 114. That's where I'm sitting at. Battery current is 2, and motor current is in the 40s. And there are no faults. Everything works. It's your real super duper bare minimum, can actually get you driving down the road. So I'm using little cheapy contactor, pretty common. Sure, these Tyco type contactors, and they work just fine for what we're doing. Haven't had an issue with them yet. So in order to do a few things, what you want to do is you want to go to user. And so on my user, open this little puppy up. So you can see that. So you got your commands and access, all that weird stuff. Not sure about the access. I'm going to have to figure that one out. So your commands. Calibrate, accelerator, and calibrate. Using charging. So you get all these different things here. So if I'm going to use a 2-wire throttle, I'm going to use 2-wire right here. Otherwise, you leave it blank. And so I'm not using a 2-wire. I'm using a 3. So you want to double check on that, and that is under installation. So just to show you. Okay. So if I want to do my throttle, I have to go here, calibrate accelerator. So it kicked off the contactor, so I can't run the motor while I'm doing this test. Automatically does that. So I'm in the test, so I'll just slowly bring my throttle all the way up, let it all the way back. It's not going to show anything, and then I go to command and calibrate. And now I have to turn it off. Then back on again. So these are the so we want to see the stats here. So we want to see accelerator voltage and percentage. So RPM limits 5200. I don't have any RPM stuff set up. It was kind of wonky to begin with. Voltage motor voltage limit, I've got it 30. Cut back motor current 450. So low battery voltage limit, battery current limit. So I changed these, but I didn't save them. So if you change anything, you want to save your stuff. Save settings. Up there. Battery warning level, log number. So it's got some stuff there. So stats, flash, serial number 7. So my controller is number 7. I don't have any. Let's see here. So view log. Again, kicks off the contactor, and then it will show me some things. Battery voltage limiter. Forward precharging. So I need to change some things and then save this configuration. So I'm going to go back to user. So I want my battery over voltage to be 130. Actually, I'm going to do 150. 150. Low battery voltage limit, current limit. I'm going to do 50. Motor current limit, 100. Charging current limit, 125 it says. 125 amps charging current. It's pretty high, pretty fast charge when you're using it that way. So now I'm going to go up to here and say save. Huh. So it doesn't like my limits that I put on there. So let's see. Motor voltage. Okay, so those are just a few things. I'll trim down some of this video here. So we'll go back up to here. We'll show you the motor running next, just so you know that that's what's running. Should be able to see that. Let's zoom in and So, long video. There you have it. Don't know what else to say. Just make sure you have all your parts. You know, a lot of this stuff on my rail is ground. A couple things are not being used anyway, so it's a pretty moot point. Some of these are for my charging, which I'll set up again later and show you. But for now, we're going to just leave it at that, just to get you up and running. So, very, very basic stuff. And I just followed the paperwork from the manual. And somewhere there's something amiss. And so if your key on voltage is weird, you might have enough, but I saw your log. Oh yeah, let's do a save log. So right here, it's start logging. So we're starting. So I'm just doing a bunch of speed up, slow down, just to make a log. And then stop logging. And then log. Synkro TPS test. And that should so it says I can't save it there, but I can save it in documents. Yes. So log Synkro test has been saved. And so now I can go back and look at it. And we'll open it up and look at it in a little bit. So those are the things that you need to be looking for. Flash here is to load things like firmware. So firmware version 14.2307, firmware build February 17th, 2014. This supports extended protocol. Yes, that's what I'm running. And I have that. And if you need it, you're welcome to have it. And this is where you would load it and use to load it onto your controller. Probably don't need it, but the OEM stuff, don't want to mess with it unless you know what you're doing. Power thing here, nothing was ever done. So you got your stats. You can do your stats over here while looking at your user stuff over here, and your stats will still work. So custom gauge. So if I want to do, let's see here, if I want to do motor voltage, I can just drag this over here. And now I get motor voltage. It shows motor voltage. And my gauge goes up. So you can have that running while you're driving your car. And just make sure you have someone else watching. Use it to watch and log and test things. And configuration. So that's where I'm at. I'm on COM 3 at the highest baud rate. And I would recommend that. That's what I was told. And your key on voltage has to be on and enough to turn it on. So there you have it. I think I'm done for the moment, and we will talk to you later. And please let me give me some updates and all that, and we'll make this work.